people, I feel like when they get into, like, we'll call it management, they feel the failure is on them if the person fails. And I tell everybody, look, if you succeed, I'm never going to take the credit. If you fail, I'm never going to take the credit. This is up to you.
Yeah.
I was just given a track to run on, and you will get the right people at the right time as long as you are a producer.
Yeah.
Right. And you'll get their attention.
Hi, and welcome to the Flat Bill Investors Podcast. I'm Josh Zagloski.
I'm Zach Spencer. Welcome. Josh, today we are lucky and blessed to have a man who traded in the New Jersey cold for the Boca Raton heat, got out of welding and into business building. This is a man who is coining the term entrepreneur. I don't know if you've ever heard it. It's a little bit different than an entrepreneur. But we're blessed today to have Adam Maggio. Adam, welcome.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, man.
And the cold of Salt Lake City, but beautiful out here.
we know you just got a coat for this week. We appreciate you coming out. Yes. It's not warm outside. Luckily, it's not too snowy either.
He's got that thin skin now from Florida.
That thin blood, the blood thins out when you're down there. So no, and not as much stone crab to eat here.
Correct.
So you're gonna have to deal with some steak and potatoes.
Love it.
There you go. Well, yeah, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you being out here. It's awesome to have you.
Likewise.
Sweet. Well, let's get right into it, Adam. So Adam and I know each other because we did ERC together. He's been an entrepreneur, sales guy, sales manager for years. So tell us where you started. Like, what got you into sales or entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So, grew up in a small town, Ocean County, New Jersey, was the county. The town was a little town called Forked River.
That's a sweet name.
Ironically, the Jersey Shore. So we'll just leave that joke to the side. But, I grew up with a great set of parents, both school teachers, provided everything except for, what I would consider wealth. And I sat there and, for the love of me, I just didn't like school. I graduated 250 out of 252, I think it was.
Graduated, yes.
But you got the diploma. That's what counts, man.
I got there. And, it's like anything else. You sit in that small town and there's not a lot of people. And it's before the internet. And there's just not a lot of people you can kind of relate to. I struggled. I went on, did a couple of menial, type tasks and eventually landed on welding. Truth be told, I wasn't the actual welder. I kind of like tacked the railings for the real welder to come in. But one day it just hit me, not to get too graphic for this show, but I was literally in the bathroom there and, I got the old, hey, you get back out on the floor. You've been in here. And I'm like, whoa, something's got to give. And I sat around and I remember the day I sat around and I'm like, man, why are some people just wealthy and some people aren't? And it just occurred to me that everybody in my town that I looked up to, and it didn't matter whether it was the pizzeria guy or it was the guy running the auto shop. It just dawned on me that anybody that was getting ahead in life, they weren't employees, they were entrepreneurs, right? They were business owners.
Oh yeah.
And from that moment on, I kind of, I just made the commitment to myself that there was just nobody that was ever going to do that again to me. And I wasn't smart, but I had enough common sense to say, like, I've never heard of a rich employee. I've never heard of people working 2 jobs and being rich or working overtime, and because you're trading time for money.
Yeah.
So that's where my journey started. I didn't have money to start a business. I was, paycheck to paycheck, and Seaside Heights was right there. I got affiliated with a large insurance organization and didn't really know what I was doing.
So that was kind of your first job coming out of welding.
Yeah.
What can I ask you real quick? What made it break? Like, did you come in and quit? Did you say, I'm not welding anymore?
How long were you welding for, by the way?
Yeah.
I was doing about 1.5 years. I knew right away I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like I knew if I was going to stay there anymore, I would rot.
Oh, yeah. Probably saw the guys that had been there for 20 years and said, hey, that's not the life for me.
Before you talk about your new job with the insurance company, I want to kind of come back a little bit because I think about my aunt and uncle who were both in education. My aunt was a teacher. My uncle, he got a doctorate degree and ended up being the athletic director of Weber State, but was huge in education, had 8 kids. I would have been the 9th kid. So I was always at their house and I was always the youngest, right? Uh-huh. Every single one of them. And I love all my cousins. We're all educators. Not teachers, but like they all had degrees, in college and stuff. And so I'm kind of this entrepreneur, although I did go back to school just to have it from University of Phoenix. I have a degree technically, but like, how was that? Like
technically I've got the degree.
Yeah. But how was that going from high school to college with educators, as parents? Like, was there a little bit like, come on, Adam, I mean, it's going to change your life. You need to go to college. I mean, did you do any college? Did you do half a year or anything?
So yes, I did do college, a community college. I got to the point where I only needed 3 credits and I literally did not go back. And I got a call about a year and a half later and they basically said, look, we can give you a liberal arts degree. You can take karate. And I said, all right, I'll go do this class just to.
You took karate to graduate? Oh, that's a sweet story.
And the parents were not happy, especially when you're talking about, hey, I'm going to go into the field of insurance.
Yeah.
They're like, what are you doing? But I sat there and I literally said, look, you are what I would consider some of the best school teachers I've ever witnessed. They go home.
And we definitely need school teachers for sure.
Absolutely. But as good as they did and as much time they put in, they got paid the same amount as the worst school teacher in the building. And it just did not make sense to me. And if something doesn't make sense to me, I have to take a step further and really look.
Yeah. It's like what I tell people is like, in that same instance, you're getting paid what they're telling you, you're worth, not what you think you're worth. Even though you could be a better teacher and someone could be not as good a teacher around the corner, you're getting paid the same.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've heard this, like, hey, pay your dues.
Yeah.
Okay. So that means the longer I work here, the more I'm going to get paid. Like,
right.
I wanted a non-dues paying business.
Right. So now you get an insurance, and which company was it?
Aflac, actually, right before the duck commercial came out.
I was going to say, I've heard about that. Yeah, I've seen that one.
So, I mean, obviously you just started insurance. I've never been in sales, former welder at this point. So probably the bottom of the barrel at the company. And what got you like really intrigued? Like, this company is awesome and I love this type of profession.
Yeah. I mean, I hated it, to be honest with you. Yeah. My first year, it was like anyone else, as you take that journey into entrepreneurship, you have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and no doubt in your mind, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't do well because I was being very casual. And I like to tell people, like, if you're being casual, you're going to create a casualty, right? And I didn't take it as serious as I did when someone was telling me when I had to work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Hey, it's raining out. I'll skip a little bit because it was a 1099 spot. But I did get a mentor. And, I've had many mentors throughout my life. Josh being one of them, certainly, and Mark Evans, another one. But I did get a mentor at the time and I just said, look, I don't get it, and the reality, what I had to face myself was he actually said to me, he said, I'll help you. Just let me look at your calendar. Back in the day, there was no.
Was he was also employer 1099 with Aflac?
Yes.
Okay. That type of, okay.
Yeah. Really, really good sales guy.
Good.
And he just said, show me your calendar. And I did. And he said, I could tell you why you're not doing well. There's nothing in your calendar. I said, well, I don't have any appointments or anything. He goes, you're not getting the point. You're not scheduling your day and honoring your schedule. And that's what we have to do. Because even if you notice, graduating class at college is much, much smaller than the freshman class.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you look at like a valedictorian in high school, they often drop out in college. And the reason is there's no structure, right? High school, you don't show up. You got the truant officer. College, you pay the tab, go to the keg parties, have fun. So structure was the big thing for me. And ultimately realizing that I had the same product. I had it the same price, the same market. There was people that were making $5,000 a month and people making $50,000 and $500,000 a month. What was the difference? Well, it was me. And I took it very personal at that point. And I did well. I went on about 24 years old. There's about 68,000 people that were representing the company. I was number 8. So I was
wow, that's crazy. So from going from the 250th graduate of 252 students to number 8 in sales in a company of, I don't know how many salesmen.
64,000.
Yeah, that's a lot. Oh, yeah. So that's a big difference. So maybe a testament that.
How long did it take you to number 8?
Once I got serious, it was under 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I find that it doesn't take long. It takes long to get to the point where you're sick and tired. But when you literally just look at it and the ego's got to go aside, and especially winning a trip, you win a trip.
Oh yeah, that does a lot.
You're looking at these people crossing the stage, getting awards, and you're like, that's so-and-so, like, I hate to say that he can do it, I can do it, but that's what I kind of felt.
That's what competition we need though.
Yeah, well,
internally, maybe you're not saying it to other people, but internally I say it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
If they can do it, I can do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you're not in the business of competing, entrepreneurship's just not for you.
Right.
In my opinion.
So first year, didn't like it. So now that you're on this trajectory from 68,000, 64,000 people all the way to number 8, at what point did you do 2 things? One, you're both feet in because you talked about 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then number 2, did you actually liked it?
So they kept pursuing me for management, and management sometimes is not the best thing, especially if you're a top producer. It's very rare that a top producer can be an effective manager. And it's usually because a top producer has some sort of edge. And I didn't. I was just what they quoted, too dumb to fail. They told me what to do, and I actually just went and did it.
Yeah.
And I never forget the first 90 days of management. I still hated it. But then I got my first person up and running that actually knew what to do. And then I said, I have the math.
Right.
I've got the key to the lock. And that's where I could say that I truly started to enjoy what I did, because yes, it was about me and I had to do a lot of personal sales in the beginning. And if you're a business owner looking at this, if you're doing any sort of sales for your company and you're not having someone by your side, you are wasting every time you're talking about yourself, you're wasting your time.
Mm-hmm.
And I made someone successful. And then I said, can I do it again? Right. And unfortunately, for a lot of people that are out there that are looking for opportunity, they're looking for something that's get rich quick. And we all know that it's not, right? But there's so many people out there that have a heart, that have a will, and they just need a track to run on and someone to talk to them for their first time in the right way. We're all in personal development. We've all read the books, been there, we speak about it, but the average person, man, they go home and let's face it, the spouse is, tearing down their throat. No one understands what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They start questioning themselves. And, I think it's just a matter of, you've just got to take it seriously. And then when I started growing the team, I started seeing the other successes. And I got to the point where I actually just looked at it like a math problem. I hate to say that, but it was literally anyone that could take a transferable sales system. Wasn't about me being a sharp closer or any of that. You see that in the movies. It was about how basic can I make this where I could hand this off and I could literally go ahead and give it to the next guy. And as long as he or she did exactly what I said to do, they'd get the same result.
Oh, that's crazy. That's good.
Is that what your mentor taught you? Because now you're mentoring these other people.
No, my mentor was more of a sales mentor. What he taught me was to really how to sell, really how to sell. When I ask a lot of because some of these people are vice presidents in the company today, when I ask them hey, what did I actually do for you? Because my whole thing was you really can't train. You could show people, but they said, well, you showed us how to sell. And I didn't know that at the time, but that's what he showed me. What I did differently was welding is tough. Driving and, talking to people about products, that was simple to me. So what I did was I said, look, all these agents are going during the day shifts. Mm-hmm. Let me go to the night shift nurses, night shift police departments, night shift firemen, where no one's ever showed up. Mm-hmm. Right. They need someone to talk to, nonetheless,
Yeah.
I did that. And that's how I kind of got my, I would call, unique advantage. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of ballooned, because when you create an organization, whether you're getting your first person or you're getting your 50th, the key thing is that you're always hiring. This is a huge mistake I see people make, because they're like, I found the one, and then your business goes like this, and then that person doesn't show up, and then you keep. The number one skill set, in my opinion, that any business owner, regardless of the industry that they're in, should hire or at least interview on a weekly basis. It's like the fill the well before you're.
Yeah. So you're saying no matter the size of your employee, your company, you're interviewing one person, multiple people.
It's kind of like, I think to Adam's point, and I don't want you to keep going on it, but it reminds me of commercial real estate a little bit. We always say build your pipeline, because in commercial real estate, let's say I offer a property at $2 million. They're like, oh, I need to be at 2.5. Okay, well, I'm going to go over here. You don't know how many times I've gotten a knock at the door in 6 months, 9 months, like, hey, are you still at 2 million? No, now I'm at 1.8.
Yeah.
And, but they come back. So keep going on why interviewing every week?
Yeah. I took it to a psycho level again, because I always had to make up the numbers what I lacked in skill. And, to be able to take somebody from an employee mindset and talk to them about entrepreneurship in 45 minutes and get them to raise their arm and basically say, I'm willing to work for you on a commission only basis. It's tough, but if you're saying the right things to the right person, you almost can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And what I found was that there's just so many of them, that are out there. There's more than most people would think. Matter of fact, today, probably more than ever with the gig economy, and there's all fancy names now. But at the end of the day, it's true 1099 entrepreneurship. I'm not sure if that asked the exact question that you had there, but
no, you're fine.
That's great.
Yeah, you did. And awesome. Now I want to kind of go over. So you were at Aflac, and I'm going to kind of fast forward to when we met each other at ERC, and you met your partner, Mark Evans.
Yep.
How did you know Mark before?
So interestingly enough, I retired from Aflac, and I use the word lightly because in when you're a 1099, you don't technically retire, but did 13 years. And I was going down to Florida to quote unquote retire, which for a whole nother story. But
do entrepreneurs ever really retire though?
No.
That's a good question.
I learned quickly in 3 weeks that there's only so many, lunches you can go to and have a couple beers. Like your purpose is gone. And I called up a gentleman that had a big mastermind, and I said, "Hey, I'm in Florida. Who here's rich? I'm willing to work for free." Right. Like I just want to get around people. And he said, "There's this guy, Mark Evans." And sure enough, I figured out a day and time to meet him. And I'm at the cigar bar. And if you know Mark, he pulled up in a Rolls Royce, Hawaiian shirt, flip flops, smoking a cigar in the Rolls Royce. And I'm scratching my head going, what is going on? Like what am I getting set up for here? I mean, I'm so used to people that have money in my world, in Jersey specifically. Like, what are they trying to get on me? And it was kind of that. But then I'm like, wow, this guy actually cares,
Down to earth.
Yeah, down to earth.
Not all by himself.
Yeah.
Usually some people, not usually, but.
Yeah. And I wasn't going at it for the money. It was more like, hey, let me just see if I can do anything to help you. And actually drove from Fort Lauderdale to West Palm Beach every day. Just did it on a handshake whim. Did what I could with that business, with what he had going on. And, it was very successful, and just kind of, it's like anything else. You see the model works everywhere else. You get excited on a new vertical, and then you kind of help master that and walk away. Was
that ERC or that was something else?
Oh no, that was turnkey real estate.
Okay. Turnkey real estate. So you're driving and tell the audience how far a drive that is one way.
Depending on traffic, you're probably looking at anywhere from an hour and 20 to
hour. 3 hours a day driving.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cause I know it's across the bottom of the peninsula.
Yeah.
There.
That's crazy. I mentioned that I'd ask this, but it sounds like at this point you're starting to find out what you're really, really good at. I want to ask you, I mean, what would you feel like your superpower in business is?
I would just say two things. One is I won't quit. Like there's come hell or high water. I apologize if that's not allowed on here. Like I just won't quit. I've seen the alternative. I wake up in nightmares sometimes. Like I have a business, like I have a job, or, it's like one of those things. And I still do to this day. I won't quit. But if you had to say like, hey, what do you think your real skill set is? I think it's really the ability to tap into any organization that has a quality product, that has something that's beneficial to the consumer, right? And being able to build we'll call it a sales force or an affiliate model. I think that word's used a lot this day and age. And giving people a structured way where I can take someone that would have never made maybe more than, 60, 70 grand and make them $250,000. Life changes.
And I saw that with my own eyes. When we worked together with ERC on how you train salespeople. I mean, you guys had over 1,000 at least people in the organization. And there was some guys that, were really, really hungry that end up doing really, really well, based on you and Mark's training. But I mean, you were the front runner on training them on what you used to do with Aflac, and it kind of goes along with that same, question that you had with the superpower. Is, not going to quit, not just on himself, but on them as well. Yeah.
It's funny because people, I feel like when they get into we'll call it management, they feel the failure is on them if the person fails. And I tell everybody, look, if you succeed, I'm never going to take the credit. If you fail, I'm never going to take the credit. This is up to you.
Yeah.
I was just given a track to run on, and you will get the right people at the right time as long as you are a producer.
Yeah.
Right. And you'll get their attention.
Yeah. So we worked together for, 3 years. You guys had tons of success. You did really well. And then you met another new partner of yours, and that's what your hat is today.
Reverse Flip.
Reverse Flip. Tell us a little bit more what Reverse Flip is.
Yeah. So Reverse.
And your partner.
Yeah. Absolutely. Most importantly, my partner's Will Dennis. He's AKA Willie Numbers, a younger Cuban guy from South Florida. We were sharing an office together. That's probably a good takeaway for anyone that's here too. We were in complete polar opposite industries, but working in an environment where you have that type of energy. There was a little bit of a issue with what was going on with the one thing we were doing. So he had basically came to me and he said, hey, I'm doing this thing called Reverse Flip. I've been doing it with these students. And here's what they've made. And I'm like, well, that's great what they've made, but what are we doing? Are we out there doing the right thing? Because if it's not the right thing, it's just not.
Can I ask, what is Reverse Flip?
So Reverse Flip is his invention. So basically what he figured out through his own students was, you have a lot of wholesalers, we'll just call it out there, that are, out there using direct mail, trying to solicit essentially the same pool of people. When you have a pool of people that are going after the same consumer, You have a lot of not so credible things going on. And then you also have a lot of competition. And if you have a lot of competition, you better be very good at what you do. I don't like to do things where you need to have exceptional people. I like to do things where you could take an average person. So he came to me and he said, look. And
then real quick about Will, sorry to interrupt you, but Will's background at this point before Reverse Flip was big wholesaler, probably rehabbed homes too, but very successful in the South Florida area. And he also taught. So he had classes and stuff. And so he had students all across the Florida area, probably around the country. Anyways, he comes up with this invention and, Adam and him are in the same office. And so now you can go around. I just want to make sure the audience knew his background.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like I said, I give credit where credit's due. I wasn't this guy that knew a ton about real estate. I knew about people, right? I knew how to grow something. So he had basically just said, look, all these homes, people are going to be losing them and things like this. We have a method where we can go out and we can grab some deed, limited power of attorney. We can buy this company and we can help, create equity. And I looked at it and I said, that's good, man, but I'm not in real estate. And then he came back, every day he would come back in and show me more. And I'm like, all right, is this scalable? Can the average person do it? And is it a great thing to do for the person?
Yeah.
And then the model was just, it took off.
He takes real estate deals that has hair on it. That's probably the best way to start with it is the deals that, a regular real estate investor wholesaler is like, yeah, I'm not going to, there's no money in that one. There's no money in that one. He figured out a way. That's why he calls it reverse, is he's finding ways to make money at those. So yeah, that's what they figured out. And so they're a good business marriage because that's something that Will needed, someone that's going to help him scale and understand people. I mean, Will understands people, but you know what I mean by that, with making it so the average person can figure this out. Will's the brains in the real estate side of things. And so it's been a good start. I mean, it's only been 3-4 months, right?
Yeah, we're 3 or 4 months into it. He had students he was coaching personally for a year before. So I wanted to make sure that was there. But yeah, in the first 7 weeks, we brought on about almost 560 affiliates.
Oh, wow.
Sales, we'll call them.
In 7 weeks?
Yeah, in 7 weeks. And if growing affiliate models, that exponentially grows. We've acquired 207 pieces of property, roughly about $70 million of value, real estate value.
Wow.
And you do stuff on school. So tell them what you do on school.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. I've never been, and there's pros and cons. Like when you're training, certain industries, it's very uncommon to do it like for free. But what happens is you get very low buy-in, high turnover. So school is this platform that was invented by Alex Hermosi and Sam Ovens, 2 people that I've always looked up to, never met. And we were like, hey, let's just put this small training component. I mean, literally sitting there at the table. And we put this simple software together, or configured it at least, and put some training videos in there. And we basically just standardized the training. And we were, within, I don't even know, maybe 5 weeks, we were up to about 150,000 in MRR, monthly recurring revenue, just off the training. I never wanted to be this training model that was like, overpriced, stuff. I just wanted buy-in at a certain degree. And we actually won the school games, which was pretty crazy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I've seen that online. I didn't know that was you guys.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Anyone watching, it's very wild. You can monetize any knowledge base and betting on them too. If you know their backgrounds, you know that they very rarely would fail. So you have to go out there and.
That's cool. Should have added that to the intro. The winner of the school games. Yeah. That's a sweet accolade, man.
Yeah.
So I love that. If I'm listening and I want to get a hold of you, coach with you, mentor, can people get a hold of you that way?
Yeah, I would just say, I don't have time to actually coach right now. The way I coach people and is through our programs that we're doing. So,
how do I sign up for Reverse Flip?
So Reverse Flip, you could simply just go to reverseflip.com, check us out, enter your information. We'll reach out to you. You can go to @Adam Maggio INC on Instagram.
Sweet.
I'm on there pretty active.
Yeah.
If you're any type of real estate residential investor, you get a hold of these guys because it's something that's going to just add another arrow to your quiver, on what you're doing. Don't stop what you're doing, see what it is, because I think it's going to add to what you're doing for sure.
Yeah. Any type of growth that way is great. And it just shows, like I can tell from our conversation here, you're really focused on building up that person. So if you're out here listening and you need somebody in your corner, it sounds like these guys are the place to be. But Adam, appreciate you being on here, man.
Appreciate it.
Gold nuggets today.
Beautiful out here in Salt Lake. You guys ever get a chance?
Beautiful and cold.
Out here.
Cold and beautiful.
Thanks.
Foggy today.
Well, until next time, invest in your future.
Invest in yourself.
This is the Flat Bill Podcast signing off.